The whole Dardoch situation, a bit more understandable, I guess, when you look at his track record, right? But still, like, the fact that Dig was doing well in spring is like a miracle in itself. So, uh,
Dude,
that's
that's
not
what I
much
think's
against.
dirty about the Dardoch move. I'll tell everyone right now, because I've seen this happen with a lot with players like that. Forgiven was another one in Europe. When you have the rep, right, that you're always the troublemaker, right? Why would anyone sign you if you're a troublemaker? It doesn't make sense. Also, you notice they never kick you at the beginning. What they do is this revenge. When you win them games, oh, suddenly they can deal with it. As soon as the team hits a skid and starts losing, say 2 out of 4 games, 3 out of 4 games, that's when they kick you. Because what they do is that's called scapegoating. It's like, right, so this guy, if he was causing problems, that's where he was probably causing some level of problems the whole time. It's just who he is as a fucking person. It's not problems. It's the problem is he exists. And if you want him to exist in the same room as you will have to comprehend the way he exists. Now, nobody again can recreate all the universe or Dardoch's entire childhood life to now to make him play jungle 4% better. So you just deal with it, right? If you're on a team like Dig, you go, well, I can't get like the best jungler. So fuck it. Dardoch's a high variance player. If I get a couple of good games, we win the game straight up. It's going to be bad games. I'm going to have to deal with that. Probably going to have to put on my coaching staff. Instead, what they did here was they were fine to take all those wins when he was probably being the same kind of person. But the second they lost a few games, it's like, all right, let's all just cleanse the negative psychic aura around this team by sacrificing the life of Dardoch as a pro player. Again, everyone, shame, shame. Everyone, do the chant, shame, 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 as he like exits the building. And then somehow that's supposed to just like rebirth, born anew, like the fucking phoenix, as it were. And suddenly the team's going to be amazing. I don't think so. Dignitas is going to be fucking garbo. I hope they make the playoffs just get spanked in the first round every other fucking year.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think that's the funny thing about this whole situation is like a person like Dardoch, of course, when you start to lose a few games, is going to be, you know, he's going to be even more Dardoch, right? And so, but the problem is that you already signed the Dardoch pact, which is like he's going to win you more games probably than he loses you games. And so as soon as you build yourselves around, you know, I think Dignitas overperformed based on their roster in the spring split. In fact, you know, Thorin, when we were doing that preview a few weeks ago, I said, I firmly expect Dignitas to be a lot worse and for Immortals to take their place. But the whole thing about this narrative is like, as soon as you kick Dardoch, you kicked the upside of your team. It doesn't get better than what you already had. What you already had, Dignitas, was the peak possibility of that roster, right? And you just have to understand that that's exactly what you signed up for. Everybody knows who understands this scene that this is the pact you made, and you just have to ride or die by it. And so they chose die. I would choose ride, at least till the end of the year, but they chose die.
And also, just think it through. Like, if here's even a tactical reason you don't kick him, because you already have had like most of a year. He's already, as we said, a win condition when he's in his shit together. Thirdly, even more genius is you want to get to the end of the year and just choose not to sign him again. You sign a different person and you hope some other LCS owner fucking signs him, and then he's their problem to deal with.
Yes.
That's tactics. That's gamesmanship.
Exactly.
That's Machiavelli. Get it on my level, motherfuckers. I'm having coaches fired. I'll have you fired next GM of Dignitas. Watch your fucking ass, mate. Hit me up, GM. Dardoch, you know the number, baby. Hit the line.
I mean, yeah. I think most. Okay, the only thing I'll say to the point about Dignitas in general and this whole writing it out with him is whether or not the rest of the players could handle it. And
it doesn't matter. You're not going to keep the rest of the players.
It shouldn't.
No, shouldn't. Revenge, in this specific instance, it doesn't matter because none of the rest of their players are star level LCS players. So what do you gain by getting rid of Dardoch, right? It's like you could get more wins with Dardoch and then maybe, you know, get some more players to be a competitive team. The fact is that you are basically kicking your win condition and there isn't anything else left to get you wins. That's the issue here, is that you're not saying I'm playing a long game because I want to keep this star player happy. It's I am dismantling this team in a way that is going to be really difficult to overcome with roster changes after this year.
Well, when I said like when you look at the rest of their players, I mean it comes to like as well as like a personality thing as well as a like what you can handle as a team too. Like I think like every team needs to have someone who's kind of like, I want to say really confident or really aggressive in a way too.
Sure.
because every good team should have somebody like that. Like, and as a fan, you don't really know who those kind of players are unless they're
Oh, of
like,
course
you know,
not.
say I like
Yeah.
Dardoch or they're getting benched or something, right? But I think like as a coaching staff, when you have teams with those kind of players, and you look at EU too, right, with this kind of thing, because in EU, I think a lot of these players do exist. I think Yamato was talking about it too, how like there's this like cultural difference in this personality clash that happens. Well, in NA, I think it's really, especially a team full of, I mean, Dig is 5 NA players. There's not much you can actually like. I think clashing in a team like that is really hard for them to handle. And this is just speculation from me. I don't know many of the players on Dig personally, and I don't know how they can handle the conflict that Dardoch brought or what kind of conflict Dardoch was bringing. But I definitely know he would be the one to bring about that conflict that I think is actually good for a team to have. I think that what failed was how they cultivated that aggression and that conflict in the team and how they dealt with it and just, you know, used it to their advantage. Because I'll tell you right now, in IMT, we have plenty of that. I mean, there's been arguments that we have had together as players on our team that if it happened on another NA team, one of us probably would have been benched, or like our team would have imploded. But we have a good coaching staff to deal with that, and we have a bond as players together that we don't let these kind of arguments destroy us. Like, we know that we just want to win, and we know that we just care about winning. So like, I think that you really need to have that on a team if you want to improve. In every, like, it's just, it has to be there. And I think Dardoch had it, and I just don't know if the rest of the team and the coaching staff used it to their advantage, rather they just let it be a disadvantage.
And I think, you know, to compare my previous point about Dignitas with you guys, is it's like you guys still have star capability. Like, I would say you're I think you're a much better player than Fake God, for example. I think if you look at Xerxes right now, he's an MVP candidate for this split, frankly. Like, he's been incredible. I think he has like a 7 KDA and like 70% kill participation right now. He is doing extremely well. And has been such a great point of strength for you guys. So like, I just see a lot higher upside. But if you're Dignitas, like, I just don't understand what the identity of Dignitas is supposed to be as a team, because it was, let's play around Dardoch's strengths and his play style, and now it's nothing. And what is the plan for the future? Like you say, you're right. They're an all NA roster. They don't have any imports. They could have if they had kicked Dardoch at the end of spring, they could have imported a jungler for summer. That was an option that they could have taken, right? And so but instead they wait for a few more weeks. Here we are in summer. Now it's too late to do any of that. You're playing the Yusui Soligo musical chairs. Neither of these guys is ever probably going to be a top mid laner within the region. Is Dignitas committing themselves to being like the American team that's always going to have 5 NA players? Is that supposed to be their identity? Or is this... It just doesn't seem like they're making any kind of decisions that lead down a road to a rational result.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool that they were a team of 5 NA players and they did as well as they did in spring, to be honest. I thought it was like, hey, like...
Me too, but that hasn't been their messaging, right?
You know,
they could say...
it hasn't been, no.
Here's what's so weird. They have a chance right now to come out and say, we are committing to being an NA-only team. But the fact that they haven't done that means that they themselves are not thinking that, and they haven't even taken up that branding, which leads me to believe that they don't really have a plan right now. Right?
Hard to say. Like, I think that if I was Dig, I'd look and think, well, we have these rookies like Fake God and Neo, and then they have these veterans in Dardoch and Afro. And Soligo as well. So you can count Soligo as a rookie with Fake God and Neo too. And then you have the veterans of Dardoch and Afro, and these two people need to be like the stable points of the team, and they need to develop their rookie pieces. Like, I could see that being their plan. And I just don't know. I mean, it just doesn't really make sense to me when they were getting results with it though, and they like are now like taking this risk and this gamble of like putting in Acadian and even Yusui, to be honest. I like, I think part of me was I was actually really bothered when Saligo first got benched. I mean, I know there had to have been reasons, right? Like internal reasons for it. Like I'm sure there was like a champ pool argument. I'm sure there was like I don't know. There had to be something deeper, but it was just disappointing to me because if they're actually a team that wants to develop talent and like, build up their rookies, to bench Saligo when their results were fine, to me was like really, really ridiculous. Like you might as well die by your rookie too. Like you're cultivating your rookie. You have to give them the space to like
look at Misfits. Look at Misfits.
Like I mean, yeah. Look at Misfits. I mean, look at me too. For example, I inted some games of Spring Split, and my coaching staff was fuming about it, but like they stood by me, right? Like, and I carried games too. But like and look at Caps. Like you look at Caps too. Like the whole Caps and Craps thing. Like Claps and Craps. Like this guy inted plenty of games for his team before he became this like star player. Like, and there's a lot of EU players you can say this about. I don't have like the full knowledge. I mean, Gihoto has told me like a lot of anecdotes and stories about it in the past, so I could say it's the case. But I just think that an NA, when your rookies are inting or like not playing at the level you want them to play, the instant like knee-jerk reaction is like, maybe we have to bench them, or like maybe they're not that good, or like maybe we don't believe in them, or maybe we just like replace them with an import or something. And that to me has always been like the problem of developing talent in NA.
Also, I've got to say this, like when we keep using that fucking Orwellian term, developing talent, I only use it when you're actually doing it. When you're taking a young player you consider to have talent, ergo one day you think they might be good enough to play for your team or an LCS level team. You actually try to work on their skill set, maybe with their academy coach, put them in the structure, maybe you give them the odd scrim in the main team. And then when there's an appropriate moment, when the veteran or the big name on the main LCS team is literally failing, you replace them because they've been playing well enough in academy, they deserve a spot. That isn't what's happening in 99% of these cases. Like the Dig examples we're using right now, how did you develop Acadian? By just watching him play for every other fucking LCS team and fail, and then not be on a team. Therefore, he has to literally play an academy in your team where you even don't want him, and it's choosing people are the dog that's bit 50 other owners before, but you go, it's okay, he won't bite me. Shit, he's bitten me, right? Get the other dog that I keep in the fucking attic eating fish heads, bring that cunt down, pretend he's my little pretty princess. Oh, you're going to win an LCS for me now, aren't you? No, you haven't developed anything about Acadian. All you've developed is this guy into some sort of fucked up relationship with LCS teams where he can't stop getting abused and hurt by them, even though none of them want him. I don't know what the deal is here. Yusui, is he you've been developing? By what? Going back in time in a time machine half a fucking decade and getting him when he was actually an up-and-coming player? What's he been developing? A fucking seriously antisocial life playing solo queue and praying he gets an LCS one day. And what got him in LCS? Was it hard work? Was he showing great potential? Did he master? No, Saligo just didn't play very well. Well, fuck my life. That's how I got into LCS after all that, was it? Just Saligo had to not be very good for 3 weeks. These aren't developed players, guys. Like, here's the thing. At least on the King and the Jenkins album, they actually sound like they had some potential. They were doing some things. They maybe deserved a shot. Maybe not on those teams. They maybe deserved a shot, on a lower team next split or something. But like some players can buy it, your development talent. Sometimes it's just an excuse for bad roster management as well. And here's sometimes that.
It's not even just about the veterans, Thorin. The other lie about developing talent is that they simply just want to pay people less to be an LCS. So
save money as well. Yeah. We're not going to win this league, so shut it down.
It can be shorthand for kind of mismanaging a roster, but it can also be shorthand for literally just needing someone in a league, not even just LCS, by the way, in a league, and you want to pay them less than veteran starter players who are objectively probably going to be better. And not only that, but when they say developing too, developing actually has to mean developing. Like, are you sending your academy players to Korea or Europe to actually train during the off season? Because remember, we brought this up before, but the biggest fallacy of academy and developing is that academy only runs for about 5-6 months of the year, Revenge, right? For me, it's what are you doing with your players outside of those 5 to 6 months? That is the first question you should be asking. Because if the answer isn't, we're sending them into a better region with better solo queue and possible scrims to develop. This is what I always wonder. Like, you have an opportunity to go where the international events are. You can go to Korea during this Worlds, for example, with your academy rosters. And guess what? You're going to get scrims, because those LPL and LCK teams that aren't at Worlds, I promise you, will be practicing during those periods, because they always do. They always do. And guess what? You're a valuable practice partner for teams at Worlds, because you're not in Worlds. Even if you're just there during the play-ins, right? You're still on par with many of those teams. Just go over there, practice. Like, that's the meaning of developing these rosters, is to actually have coaching staffs that are capable, and that you're investing in the future talent by sending them into places where they can get better practice. So that is what developing talent means, not I want to sign a player for cheaper, or I have made this terrible error in managing my roster or my players' attitudes. And so here's a chance to develop this player, especially when they're known quantities. Like, it's not like we haven't seen many of these people before.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.